When 12-year-old Malik proudly tells his classmates that his dad is in the special forces, he's mocked, until a smug cop joins in. But everything changes when a towering man in a green beret walks onto the scene and silences the entire park. What happens when the truth wears combat boots and walks in without warning? If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to let us know in the comments where you're watching from. It was a bright Saturday morning in a quiet neighborhood just outside Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The local park buzzed with weekend energy, joggers on their routine laps, kids flying kites, and families enjoying breakfast picnics. On the soccer field, a group of boys around 12 were kicking a ball back and forth. Among them was Malik Johnson, a reserved but observant black boy who had just moved to town with his mom. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was clear his words came from thought, not impulse. Malik was sitting on the edge of the field, tying his shoelaces, when Tyler, a loud-mouthed boy with a backwards cap and an oversized ego, called out to him. "You sure you can play striker, new kid?" Tyler said mockingly. "Or you just here to shine our cleats?" Malik didn't respond at first. He calmly pulled the laces tight, then stood up. "My dad taught me how to play. He said always keep your balance." Tyler snorted. "Yeah? Your dad must be a janitor or something." Malik narrowed his eyes. "He's in the special forces." The ball stopped mid-roll. Several of the boys turned and stared. Tyler let out a laugh. "Special forces? What, like in the movies? Come on, man, you're not fooling anyone." "I'm not joking," Malik said quietly. "That's hilarious," Tyler cackled. "The kid with the dollar store cleats says his dad is a Navy SEAL." "He's not a SEAL. He's Delta Force," Malik corrected. More laughter followed, and one of the boys even mimicked a salute. "Yes, sir, Sergeant Dad." Just then, two police officers patrolling the park walked over, attracted by the growing crowd. One was Officer Reynolds, a seasoned cop with a paunch belly and a tendency to assume more than he knew. His partner, Officer Hill, was younger and still learning when to speak and when to listen. "What's going on here?" Reynolds barked. Tyler turned to the officer, eager for a bigger audience. "This kid says his dad is in Special Forces. Can you believe that?" Reynolds chuckled and looked down at Malik. "That true, son?" Malik nodded. Reynolds scoffed. "You know how many times I've heard that one? Everyone's dad's a hero when they're 12. Hill shifted uncomfortably but didn't speak. Malik stood still, his gaze steady, even as the mockery around him grew louder. "You know what real Special Forces guys do?" Reynolds continued. "They don't go blabbing about it, especially not their kids." "My dad doesn't," Malik replied. "I only said it because he's not here to." The words were soft, but they silenced the group. For a moment, then a low thrum broke through the noise. Boots. Not the soft tap of sneakers, but the heavy, grounded thud of military-issued soles. Everyone turned to see a tall black man walking calmly toward them from the path. His gait was purposeful, steady. He wore a pressed uniform with a green beret, a stack of ribbons on his chest, and eyes that had seen deserts, war zones, and worse. He stopped 10 feet away. "Malik." The boy turned. "Dad." Sergeant Major Desmond Johnson gave a slight nod, then looked to the crowd, especially the officers. Reynolds straightened like a schoolboy caught cheating. Hill instinctively touched his badge. Desmond pulled out a worn leather ID wallet and flipped it open. "Sergeant Major Johnson, 1st SFOD. Reynolds' jaw tensed. "That's Delta Force?" "Yes," Desmond replied simply. "I'm here to get my son." Nobody said a word. Desmond looked around slowly. "Which one of you laughed at him?" No one moved. He stepped closer to Officer Reynolds. "Do you know what it means to stand in front of someone who's risked his life for this country and belittle his child?" Reynolds gulped. "Sir, I didn't." "You did. You just didn't expect I'd show up." Then he turned to Malik, resting a gloved hand on his son's shoulder. "Ready?" Malik nodded. Desmond walked with him back down the path. The field was silent. Even the birds seemed to pause. They didn't speak until they reached the SUV. Desmond placed his bag in the back seat and got in beside Malik, who was still quiet, eyes down. "I'm sorry," Malik said at last. "I know you don't like attention." Desmond sighed, looking ahead. "This wasn't about attention. It was about respect. You shouldn't have to defend my name. I should be there before anyone questions it. I just didn't want them thinking I was making it up." Desmond looked over, softening. "You didn't. You spoke truth. And that's all you ever need to do." Malik leaned back in his seat, exhaling. "Do people laugh at you too?" Desmond nodded. "Not to my face. But I've walked into rooms where I was the last person they expected to see in this uniform. Because you're black? Because I'm me. And because people don't always believe in what they can't imagine." By Monday, the story had spread through school like wildfire. Malik was no longer the new kid. He was the kid with the Delta Force dad. Tyler barely spoke. The laughter had turned to whispered apologies. And during lunch, a few students from other classes sat by Malik asking questions, not to mock, but to learn. At the end of the week, Principal Monroe called Malik to her office. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said. "What you did, standing your ground, calmly and respectfully, it showed real character. And your father? He's an example for all of us." Malik smiled faintly. "Thanks, ma'am. We'd like to invite your dad to speak at our Veterans Day event next month, if he's willing." Malik nodded. "I'll ask him." The auditorium was packed. The school's brass band had just finished their rendition of the national anthem. Students sat shoulder to shoulder in pressed uniforms, some wearing ribbons for relatives who served. Principal Monroe took the stage. "Today, we are honored to welcome someone who has served in silence, in shadows, and in sacrifice. A man who reminds us that heroism doesn't shout, it walks, calmly and with purpose." Sergeant Major Desmond Johnson stepped onto the stage. He didn't wear the green beret today, just a simple uniform, boots polished. The applause was thunderous. He spoke about discipline, about values, about service. But at the end, he said something that would stay with every student in that room. "I'm not here just as a soldier. I'm here as a father. My son stood up for me when I wasn't there. Not with fists, not with shouting, but with truth. And in this world, where truth is often buried by assumptions, that takes courage far beyond the battlefield." He looked to Malik sitting front row, and I've never been more proud. Years later, Malik stood in front of a mirror, adjusting the collar of his own uniform. Not military, not police. A dark navy suit. He had just passed the bar exam. His dream wasn't combat, it was justice. As he picked up the worn ID wallet his father had given him for luck, he smiled. Inside was a note. "Lead with honor. Protect the ones who don't have boots to walk in. You don't need to wear a uniform to be a warrior." Dad,